Good morning. Welcome to the presentation of Virtual Reality Design with a Student in Mind, Designer's Perceptions. This research was conducted by Dr. Patricia Steele, Dr. Cheryl Burley, Dr. Margaret Kropowski, and Myrene Mugabe. Introduction. Developers are expressing ethical concerns regarding various issues in virtual reality products, with current interest in holding accountability for ethical design and use of VR products in virtual learning environments is on the rise. The need exists for additional study regarding the ethics in VR technology. Using narrative inquiry qualitative design, the current study examined designers' perceptions on the ethical issues surrounding the development and use of VR and augmented reality applications in educational environments. Problem: moral designers of instructional content using VR/AR approaches should consider moral dimensions and philosophical positions associated with design of learning content that uses technology affordances in the form of VR/AR media and hardware. At each step in the process of creating learning content, instructional designers and curriculum developers must be cognizant of the potential for harm or benefit associated with technology utilization in the learning environment. The purpose of the qualitative narrative inquiry study was to interview designers and developers of VR/AR products as to their perceptions of ethics of design and use of virtual products designed for educational purposes. There were two research questions that guided the study. The first research question was, what are the prevailing perceptions among designers of VR/AR regarding the ethical issues of using immersive virtual and augmented reality products in the educational setting? The second research question was, what values and beliefs permeate the mindsets of designers concerning the ethical and effectual use of VR/AR products for teaching and learning? The significance of the study is where the findings may contribute to an in-depth understanding of the importance of ethics in developing VR/AR products, insight into how educational communities implement ethical decision-making in educational endeavors, and potential guidelines for decision-making regarding virtual educational use in K-12 and higher educational levels. The literature review that helped frame our study was as followed. It really considered the ethics of virtual environments, which included designers' beliefs by Sheenan and Johnson, design and use of environmental environments analysis and guidelines by Ramirez, student focus, Page and Thorson, continued research to define and apply ethical use, Rodriguez Morales and Martinez de la Peña, and planning, assessment, and continued evaluation, student evaluation of use by O'Connor and Warren. The conceptual and theoretical framework which was used for this study is as follows. Value-sensitive design, or VSD, as theoretical grounded approach to the design of technology. Social constructivism is a theory that suggests that there is a connection between societal factors such as cultural, political, and economic, and the implementation of and technology in our lives. Ethics in practice considers potential ethical implications of VR use, and it includes philosophical and cognitive impacts and behavioral and societal dynamics. Identifying managing procedures to address emerging ethical issues will happen not only through regulation and laws, such as governmental and institutional approval, but also through ethics in practice, which includes respect, care, morals, and education. We also looked at Knowles and their approach to the modern practice of adult education. Knowles had defined andragogy as an emerging technology for adult learning, and his four assumptions were that adults move from dependency to self-directedness, draw upon their reservoir of experience for learning, are ready to learn when they assume new roles, and want to solve problems and apply new knowledge immediately. Initially defined as the art and the science of helping adults learn, andragogy has come to be understood as an alternative to pedagogy, a learner-focused approach for people of all ages. The method and design for this study was a qualitative narrative inquiry, and it was used to collect data from VR/AR designers and developers, telling their stories and also sharing their perceptions and perspectives of ethics in creating virtual products. The population and sample. The population for this study were members of AECT. The inclusion criteria were self-described instructional designers and programmers for VR/AR products who have had at least 3 years of experience, and the sample consisted of 3 adult VR/AR participants from the total membership. Data collection took place through participant interviews, which were digitally recorded one-on-one interviews with open-ended questions. VR/AR designers told their stories about their experiences and perceptions regarding ethics in designing virtual products for educational use. Then transcription took place and member checking occurred. During the data analysis phase, the team reviewed each of the interviews. Then they conducted a cross-checking process. They looked for consistency in coding and also in the identification of key content. During the data analysis, the team had identified 4 themes. Those were educational, awareness, relevance, and social ethical considerations. From that, there were 3 sub-themes that were identified, which included student-centered, engagement, and standards-based. The findings. Based on the data analysis, the findings revealed an acute awareness of the role of the designer from an ethical perspective, keeping in mind the end user and the possible experience. In this case, the end users being the instructor and the student. The following slides share a few of the participants' observations as captured during the interview process. Due to time, selected passages will be read per theme. Educational. This also included the sub-themes student-centered and engagement. Talking to second graders about a theme in environmental science, for example, I want to present material much differently than I would say to high school students who are taking AP environmental science class. So you have to think about the critical thinking skills and how they are going to be able to answer certain questions. When it comes to designing a positive experience, we have to look at when I see teachers get involved and a light bulb goes off. They're excited because they're able to do something that they never thought they could. They thought that it is just so far beyond anything that they could ever fathom doing or experiencing. And so seeing that, oh, this is really cool, or I can do this, has really been a positive thing. Awareness. I am a listener and I am also a facilitator, so I try to be unbiased and I always stand on right is right and wrong is wrong. So I just try to make sure that people are doing the right thing and not acting based upon what they want to do, but because it is right legally and morally, and ethics always play a role in whatever is involved. It can be seen as overwhelming for some because they still feel, even though I can do this now, my school or my district is poor and we won't be able to afford equipment. No one will support me. I know that I have access to this amazing information and access to these resources now, but I won't be able to implement them or use them with my students because I do not have access to the equipment. For the theme of relevance, the sub-theme of standards-based was also discussed. We want to give the user a picture, an image, a graphic for what the user wants. I want to be sure I put into consideration those contents at a student's level of education. This occurs after carrying out a lens analysis, which involves understanding the educational background of the learner and understanding how they are going to interact with the different elements in VR. But the main thing is just making sure that everything that the teachers want, is relevant and not just tied to being appropriate, but also aligns with curriculum. Ethical considerations. It's really when you're designing, you have to really think about being very neutral in how the information is being conveyed, but also that the information that you are sharing is supported by research and the relevant theories of the particular topic. You're not putting your personal beliefs in there. I think that's one of the things that is extremely important when you're looking at any type of development of curriculum in this medium. Sometimes you create content and you may consider a video from YouTube as an overlay on the VR, and you're not really sure if that's going to infringe on someone's copyrights. We just don't want to run into any kind of ethical issues. We concentrate on universal design principles, and when I make mention of that, I'm talking about the research we are creating for the users are being used by different types of users. Discussion. VR/AR designers are aware of the impact the products that they design may have on the end consumer. There was also a discussion around the lines of specific industry-wide guidelines that may assist in the development of VR/AR products if gray areas actually exist. And then also discussions with end users, teachers, and/or students may assist in alleviating ethical issues that may arise in the product development prior to beta testing or rollout. Contributions. This study hopes to bring an awareness to the ethical complexities of developing VR/AR products. Understanding the VR/AR technology design process is greatly driven by the designer's own ethical values and personal awareness of the end user. Adding to the growing body of research about what we know of successful implementation of VR/AR educational technology programs, and recommendations for educational policymakers in developing guidelines for effective and safe educational practices when using VR/AR technology is used. So our recommendations are developing ethical standards across the industry for VR/AR designers, oversight within the development of VR/AR integration of educational products, specifically when they're being used in elementary and middle schools, and then to have an active dialogue between developers and education professionals in actual development of design to hone in on specific elements of the product to enhance student learning. And these are our reflections. The study brought an awareness of the ethical thought process of VR/AR designers, developing engaging and relevant products in more encompassing than just the wow factor. And also understanding who will use the product drives the designer's thought. The following are the references that we had used for our study. We would like to thank you for listening to our presentation, and we are available to answer any questions that you may have.